Hey everybody, and welcome to Weight Loss Wednesday. I'm Chef AJ, the author of The Secrets to Ultimate Weight Loss, and this is where I show you recipes to help you achieve and maintain healthy, permanent, and sustainable weight loss. So today I'm going to show you how to make what I call one sauce. It's called one sauce because once you learn this, all you need is one. All you need is one. So I get a lot of requests for sauce recipes. I get a lot of requests in general. And it seems that a lot of people have a lot of food preferences, allergies, intolerances, and they send me a recipe that was their favorite recipe, and they ask me to tweak it or fix it to take out the offending item. And let me tell you, I can do it, but I just don't have time. That's called recipe development, and I get paid by restaurants to do it, but it takes hours. And I find that sometimes, not sometimes, actually always, at least for me, it's just easier to come up with a brand new recipe than to try to substitute the ingredients, at least in the recipes I've created from scratch, which are pretty much all 300 of my recipes. There's a lot of people that can't have nutritional yeast. I try not to include it in my recipes because my mentor, Dr. Ellen Goldhammer, does not allow it at True North. He's not a fan of it, especially for people with GI disturbances like Crohn's or ulcerative colitis or IBS or really any GI issues. He's shown me articles in the medical research why it's not favorable. He says it's a high calorie food, it's a concentrated protein. He doesn't like it. And if he doesn't like it, he's pretty much been right about just about everything I've learned from him. So I'm not going to really use it. Now, it is in a few of my recipes. Probably of the 300 recipes I've created, I would say less than 10, and in all but 2, the faux parmesan and enlightened faux parmesan, which is a variation of the faux parmesan, and the barefoot dressing, I always do it optional. I always try to use a very small amount, like 4 tablespoons. Now, I do recommend if you use nutritional yeast, you get the unfortified. That's what the doctors say to get. It's not healthy when it's fortified with folic acid or B vitamins, and I know some people that live in other countries that don't have access to Amazon maybe can't find unfortified, so I say when in doubt, leave it out, because I'm leaving it out of this recipe, and this is a, quote, cheese sauce, and it tastes just fine. I had a friend over, and she said it tasted even better than any cheese sauce she had. So I learned how to make it without nutritional yeast to taste cheesy, but then I got other people telling me what they can't have. Now, originally, all the cheese sauce recipes started with about a cup of cashews, which is a lot of fat and a lot of calories. And so I taught you a long time ago that you can generally substitute beans like cannellini beans, the white bean, which is very neutral tasting, for nuts in a recipe that's a creamy sauce. Now, how much? It just depends. It's going to depend on a lot of factors, but it made a nice substitute. But there's a lot of people now with SIBO and IBS that can't have legumes, so they wanted a cheese sauce that didn't have legumes. So there's other things to make things creamy other than beans and nuts. For example, oats make things really creamy. Oats are really high in fat when you think about it. For a grain, almost 20% of their calories are from fat. But then I heard from somebody that wanted something without grains in it. So I thought, well, potatoes, Yukon Gold potatoes, incredible for creamy sauces. And then, of course, the next person was looking for something without potatoes. So I'm pulling out my head thinking, how am I gonna make a cheese sauce without nutritional yeast, without nuts, without beans, without oats, without potatoes that tastes good? Well, my friends, cauliflower to the rescue. So if you watch my show, you know that I've been using a lot of cauliflower to make unbelievable things like the honey mustard dip. So in here, I have cooked, very important that it be cooked, it's steamed, a 12-ounce bag of organic cauliflower, and I steamed it in a cup of water because I want to have a little bit of water for the sauce, and I always have extra water on standby in case I want the sauce a little bit thinner. So you don't have to wait and cool this because this cheese sauce is often served hot, but in the interest of time, I have cooled it. So what I did is I cooked this in this really cool little Pampered Chef micro steamer. If you go to my Amazon store, all the items that I use are in there if you want to know what my favorites are. I cooked this for 6 minutes in the microwave with a cup of water, and now I'm going to put it in the blender. And then I'm going to add my roasted vegetables. Now this is very important that you roast them and don't use them raw. This is where the flavor is gonna come from. So I have 8 ounces of orange bell pepper. You could use yellow or red. The reason I use the orange is because I was trying to get it to look like cheese without the nutritional yeast. But I've done this with a red bell pepper, a yellow, absolutely fine. I've got 8 ounces of carrots, which I cut small, and that would be about probably 1 large or 2 regular sized carrots. I've got 4 ounces of a sweet onion, and I've got about 8 cloves of garlic. And so when you think about it, with the 12 ounces of cauliflower, there is going to be 2 pounds of just non-starchy vegetables in this sauce. Is that incredible? Then you put it on vegetables and you're gonna get your dose of vegetables for the day. Now, I roasted this on a Silpat in my air fryer. You could use your oven for about 30 minutes at 400, but be mindful that things cook differently. So the carrots are very dense, so I cut them as small. This is much more watery, so I cut it in big pieces. And the garlic, I put in 15 minutes into it, because if you put the garlic in the whole time, I totally forgot, 30 minutes is way too long. It's gonna burn. So you can either put the garlic in at the beginning and take it out in 15 minutes, but you do need to watch it. So I've got all my wonderful roasted vegetables that I'm going to put in the blender. And like I say, I wouldn't use a green bell pepper. One, they don't taste very good, they're unripe, but the orange would be the best color. Red is okay, yellow is okay. Then I've got my garlic. What I do is I use those little packs from Trader Joe's, 1 pack. Sometimes it's 8 cloves, sometimes it's 10. And then my onion. I probably wouldn't use a red onion here. I'm using a white or a sweet onion. And now my spices, which I need to go over there because I forgot them. Okay. So I've got 1 tablespoon of lemon juice, just 1. And then in here, I've got my 3 spices. I've got a teaspoon of smoked paprika, very different than regular. I've got 1 teaspoon of roasted garlic, Benson's Table Tasty, and I've got 1/8 of a teaspoon of chipotle powder. Chipotle is a smoked jalapeno. I'm gonna put it in. Now, if you can't get the roasted garlic, Benson's Table Tasty, use the regular. This just is a little bit more flavorful. And now I am going to blend it, starting with the blender on low. If you have a high-powered blender, you could let it run for a few minutes and then the sauce will actually be hot if you want to serve it over, say, for example, my favorite thing, which is steamed broccoli. This will get your kids to eat their broccoli, I swear. Now, it's also great as a dip for chips. I like to make my own chips, tortilla chips out of just corn or corn and lime in the air fryer. No sugar, no oil, no salt. So this is great to make nachos. It's delicious on potatoes or twice-baked potatoes, but you can just see how thick this is. I do not want any more water. If you like it a little thinner, add some water. But this is basically 2 pounds of vegetables, and you could eat it with a spoon. So I hope you'll try this. It really is the only sauce you'll ever need. So let me know what you think of the one sauce, and thank you so much for watching another episode of Weight Loss Wednesday. I'm Chef AJ, and I make healthy taste delicious so that you can have both the health and the body that you so richly deserve. Enjoy, everybody.